What's up, everybody? It's your friend, your pal, your host with the most, OldKingCake, aka Cole Sauer. This is another two-part episode with Marc Hallworth. We ended up kind of getting to talking a little bit, I don't want to say too much, but we talked a lot in this episode. And you know me, rather than putting out a 2-hour episode, I'd rather put out 2-hour-long episodes. So we're going to get part 1 this week. Part 1 has the 5 questions and kind of just talking about Marc and the comedy scene in general, especially now that we're getting back into it with COVID ending. And talking a bit just about him and his life and kind of how he sees the world. And it ended up just being a really interesting conversation. Next Monday, you're going to get part 2, which is going to have us watching a documentary about skateboarding, which Marc is super passionate about. It was really fun to be in that kind of space, that kind of energy with someone who's so passionate about something. And then the lightning round is always leading in to the end of the show where you can find out all of his social medias and projects that he's working on. So, if you enjoyed this week's episode, make sure you tune in next week for part 2. And if it's not your bag, I totally understand. Make sure you check in the week after that because we will have a brand new episode. So with all that, hope you enjoy this episode, and I'll see you next week.
But I can't have, human relationships.
You heard it here first, folks. Marc Hallworth says if you're not grinding, you don't want it hard enough.
Oh, God, all right.
Let's be best friends.
Hello, I'm Cole Sauer, and welcome to Let's Be Best Friends, a podcast where I talk to people that I barely know and try and convince them to be my new best friend, because in times like these, who needs enemies? My guest today is the nicest human being I've ever met, and currently the host of Joke Marmalade, Marc Hallworth.
Hey!
This is definitely the first time we're doing this intro.
Oh, for sure. It's not like Cole botched it the first time.
No, I've never botched an intro in my entire life. Ask any other
awesome.
guest.
No, that was great. Also, you said the inaccurate thing again, that I guess I'm hosting it tonight.
You are currently hosting it. I fixed it.
Okay, sure. All right.
The current host of Joke Marmalade.
I think there's going to be a rotation. I think it's going to be a good time. For anybody that might not know, Joke Marmalade's a really fun, joke writing workshop show where people do jokes and then people in the crowd are like, hey, how about you change the word penis to peen? It's a funnier word.
It is a funnier word.
Fascinating.
I love it as a concept. I think it's such a good... I haven't actually been to a Joke Marmalade yet because it keeps being... Ever since I started doing streaming and podcasting stuff, I have no more time to do fun things anymore. So things like Joke Marmalade are coming back, and I want to start going back to comedy again. Mm-hmm. And I keep missing it.
You got to take advantage of it now, man. It's August. It's going to be freezing in 2 months. We won't be able to do these outdoor shows anymore.
That's true, actually. I do need to go to an outdoor show before they all die.
That's a huge concern of mine, of what is going to happen in November when it's just I'm back to the basement.
No, man, everyone bring your snow jackets. It's going to be like a CFL game. We're all just going to sit in the stands
Yeah, I guess.
Good
people
show.
Are I don't know. The Thanksgiving Day games are always well attended. I'm I don't know, man. I think people hate it. It's like snowing on Halloween in this damn country.
I think the CFL is the most dedicated fan base known to man because the Grey Cup is snowing 60% of the time.
Yeah.
It is ice cold because it's November. It's -20 and everyone's trying to watch football.
And the times that it's warm, we're like, what the hell? Oh my God.
Yeah, this is the best Grey Cup ever.
Best.
Oh man. I went to one in Toronto and it was literally my cousins were coming from the West Coast to come to Toronto to watch the Grey Cup. So we all went and I was just gonna go in a sweater, I was going to a hockey game or something, and they were no man, bulk up. It gets cold.
Yeah.
So I'm sweater, jacket. I had a little bottle of whiskey with me. I was I'm going up the fucking Mount Everest to go watch football.
There's 8 of you that go up, only 6 come back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Where are you right now then, man? If you're not, I thought you were in Toronto.
I am, but before I was living in Ajax.
Oh, okay.
20 minutes away. And now
if I'm going to be your best friend, man, I got to know these things.
Yeah, that's why we're
for
here.
You.
Hey, speaking of knowing more about each other,
okay.
I like to start with this. Larry King always said that there's 5 questions you have to answer at the beginning of every interview, and because I am a bad interviewer, I like getting it out of the way right at the beginning. Those questions are who, what, where, when, and why, so I like to start with who. Marc, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? Who is Mark Hallworth?
Who am I?
Who is Marc Hallworth? Tell us a little bit.
Oh my God, that's a 33-year-old question. Man. Like, I'd have to talk for 33 straight years.
For 30, I'm ready. The longest episode ever.
Yeah. I guess whatever the Cole's notes or whatever is I'm a cheerful dude who's lucky to be alive and mega grateful for every piece of luck and privilege that's come his way. And I am enamored with comedy.
You're enamored with it.
Yeah, that's a pretty good adjective. Yeah, adjective.
Okay. So comedy, so you are a comedian.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing comedy?
Well, that's an interesting question. Okay, so the first time I ever did stand-up was May 6th, 2006 in Calgary.
A fine vintage.
Opening, yeah, exactly. Opening for a friend's band. I did 20 minutes.
You did 20 minutes on your first show before a band.
Yeah, because and here's the thing, you don't know what's hard when you're starting it off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and like it's so interesting that naivety could take you so far.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't know. Is this bad? Like, and then I started doing 5-minute sets and getting mega nervous for 5-minute sets.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, oops. Like you have no idea how hard something is when you're doing it poorly.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like a childlike naivety, right? Where it's like,
oh yeah,
you know, climbing a tree when you're 6 is like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna fucking climb a tree. But now when you're 30, you're like, I can't climb a tree.
Yeah,
how hard that is. This is insane.
And you know now how many people hurt themselves doing this exact thing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You get all in your head about it where you're like, if I fall, I'm gonna get like paralyzed, and then it's gonna ruin my. That's not worth climbing a tree. Like
exactly. And so that's kind of then I started doing like shows at comedy clubs and stuff, and I was like, oh, this is crazy hard.
Yeah,
this is insane.
Oh yeah.
And when the audience is looking up at you, politely smiling, and there's a TV next to you. That's playing the intermission of an Ottawa Senators game, and then the game comes back out on, and all of their heads,
all their eyes go,
watch the game now. Yeah, that's a bomb, Mark. You're bombing.
Yeah,
that's what that
not
means.
Good.
But when little 19-year-old Mark was like, I didn't realize that that's bad. I'm just having a good time. But also, I'm like so loose and riffy and stuff. Yeah. It was crazy. At one point, the drummer of the band came behind me and started doing rim shots and stuff. And then I'm like joking with him. And like, I wouldn't have, honestly, like 6 months later after that moment, I would never have had the confidence to do riffs and banter. I don't know. I was not present in the same way.
Yeah.
So, what was the question? Who am I? Yeah. Anyway, I like comedy.
Well, it's almost, it's interesting because it's almost like you were almost set up to fail in a way because you had such a nice loose first show where you did all this time and you had time to like experiment and try things, and you had, you know, your homie on the drums that you could screw around with, like, and then it's true, like when you have a show like that and you start going to do, I don't want to say like actual shows, but you start like hitting towns and stuff and doing 5 minutes and 7 minutes and all that, and no one's laughing. People like that, they'd go and watch the TV or they go to the bar and no one's looking at you. Like, it's hard. Yeah,
I guess you just have an awareness now of what failure is.
Yeah.
And what it looks like. And it would be insane. It would be really funny to be a fly on the wall back and watching that set and being like, wow, man, this kid is bombing.
Yeah.
This kid is doing so bad.
I made the mistake.
And has no idea.
I made the mistake of, because when I started in comedy, I already knew a bunch of comedians, and they were like, I knew that they were like, oh, I record every set, and I like listen to it so I can like pick it. So when I started in comedy, I started recording all of my sets. So I have everything. I have my first set all the way to my last set, and none of them are that good.
I have a bunch of videotapes too. I wonder if they're here. Hold on, let me see if I can even open. This is an old video camera.
Oh my God,
I just pulled this out from under my desk.
Nice.
This thing is so old that I don't think the battery exists for it anymore.
I like that you just have that on you, like ready to go.
I was actually surprised it was that accessible. The thing is, the tapes aren't in here, I don't think. That's a shame. I do have a bunch of tapes that are marked like March to April 2009.
And when you say tapes, you mean like tapes?
Yeah, look at that.
Nice.
That says laugh graphs.
Good shit.
That doesn't make any sense to be on a tape. Anyway, that's it. Hilarious. This is the first time opening this bag in probably 5 years.
Oh man, I feel like you could do a whole show of just playing those tapes and watching them back, and just being like, look at this shit, look at holy crap.
Yeah, that's the thing we should have done for this podcast.
Oh man,
that's my hobby, Cole, shitting on myself.
I think that's every comedian's hobby.
Yeah,
I think that's.
Can we swear on this podcast, by the way? Whoops.
Oh yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Man.
With every new piece of content I make, I promise my mom that I'm gonna not swear on it.
Oh, too bad.
And it I try my damnedest. I cuss a lot more in real life than I do on this podcast.
Really? Okay, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Do you swear in front of your folks?
I do, but only like it's funny because when I was a kid, my parents were like I couldn't even you can't take the Lord's name in vain. There's no it's like hex and gosh darns, man, like that's it. Mm-hmm. And then as I got older, like when I was an adult, and it was like you can't tell me what to do, Mom. I'll say I'll say the fuck word if I want to. My parents started to loosen up more and more, and it was weird because I was like, you guys aren't allowed to cuss. That's not. You guys can't swear. I can swear.
Oh, your parents started cussing more?
They started cussing more, and it was like a whole. That's when I realized I was an adult. Is when my mom was telling me a better job, and she was like, "In this fucking asshole," and I was like.
Like, whoa.
What do you mean?
That must feel kind of cool. You're like part of a club now.
Yeah, it really is. And it happens when I go to my family reunions now. Because, I used to smoke cigarettes. And all of my cousins all smoke cigarettes. Mm-hmm. So, when I was when I'd started smoking cigarettes, it felt like being part of this kind of club. Because we'd all go outside at the family reunion. We'd all get in a circle and smoke and be like, man, these fucking kids. And I can't, grandma's saying some weird shit again. And I was like, this is cool. This is cool.
Yeah, that probably does feel. Yeah.
Absolutely murdered my body. Never recommend it. Kids out there, don't smoke cigarettes. But it was a cool experience at the time.
I was just talking to a friend about this, about how it is. I was like, how did you ever start smoking cigarettes? That's so gross. And they were like, hey man, it's undeniably cool.
Yeah, that's true.
It looks cool when the sun's setting and stuff. You feel really cool.
You feel really cool until it's winter and it's like -20 and you have a nicotine addiction. That's when you don't look as cool when you're like.
Yeah, you look like an idiot.
Yeah.
And you don't seem enjoyable. It doesn't seem like you're having a good time at all.
Yeah, the reason I started smoking was literally I worked in kitchens and everyone smokes in restaurants. Yeah. And I just kept doing it on and off all through college and all that. And I was one of the grungy kids, so we all smoked cigarettes and did drugs, and that's what we did. And then, and I remember
your identity.
That was my identity, was smoking cigarettes and doing drugs. And then I had a friend who didn't really do drugs, didn't smoke cigarettes at all. And I remember we were walking somewhere and I was smoking, and he was like, "Man, it does look cool." And I was like, "Do you want one? You shouldn't smoke." I was always on the bandwagon of I smoke but don't do it because listen to me when I cough. This is bad for you.
I'm sorry, buddy. Man.
Everyone makes decisions, and he would always be like, "I don't want to do it, but I do admit that it looks fucking cool."
Yeah, that's what I'll say. What I'll say. The disadvantages of smelling like garbage and stuff. Oh man,
smelling like garbage. It screws up your voice. It screws up your cardio. Yeah, that was the worst part. Is I was working out. I was in really good shape when I was smoking, but I could feel it. When I was getting really heavy into it, when I was in college smoking cigarettes all the time, I could feel it. I'd be on the treadmill and and I was like, I need to quit. This is holy shit. I was 20 and I was
yeah, that's a bad sign.
It's bad,
I'm already so out of shape. I'll skate for 9 minutes and then I'm so sweaty and I need to. Oh, it's so gross.
That's where I'm at now. I ride my bike and I injured myself really bad right before COVID started. So I was going to the gym and then I hurt myself really bad. I started going to physio and then COVID started. So I wasn't at the gym at all for 7 months. Mm-hmm. And then I got on my bike to just I had to go somewhere. So I got on my bike and rode, and 10 minutes in I'm like, oh God, what a mistake this was. I should have just taken the subway.
And you don't have a backup shirt or anything?
Yeah, exactly. I'm totally newbie. I don't have my deodorant with me, no backup shirts, no nothing. I'm just I get to the place where I'm like, yeah. Hey guys, what's up?
I'm here.
Oh, okay.
That was a shot of something. What did you just swig?
Can you imagine pure whiskey?
No way that
brother.
was coffee. There was
Pure
no way that
whiskey.
was coffee.
So we covered the who and the what. So where I usually start with where was your first show, but you said it was in Calgary. So where? So I guess where?
I'm sorry, you covered the what? Wait, when did I answer? What was the what?
The what was the what do you do? What do you do? You're a comedian. You're a comedian by trade,
I'm really lucky. I get to
happy guy.
Yeah, I'm smiling all the time. That's something I'm doing. No, before COVID, things were terrific or whatever. I haven't had to do anything I didn't want to do since November of 2014.
Wow.
That was like the last time I worked a job I didn't like.
Yeah, 6 years. That's huge, dude.
The
Congrats.
best. Oh my God. And what a miracle. You know what I mean? And there's people that I completely love that aren't this lucky that have to work in kitchens or whatever. And man alive, I'm so lucky. Who the hell am I to get to do all this? When I was working, I used to work as a tour guide. That was kind of my last fun job.
What a job, too.
Oh, it was kind of nuts. Yeah. That place was awesome. But I remember, like, I don't know, being on top of the bus and sometimes seeing a friend on the side of the road and being like, hey, and kind of in my head, yeah, that's how I say hello. In my head being like, I kind of hope they're looking up. I would love it if they were looking up being like, man, what is Mark doing on a fucking bus?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He deserves
like,
so much better than that bus.
Well, he
man.
should be, get Mark, writing or on the road somewhere, you know what I mean? Performing this, that, or rehearsing for this or whatever. All the things that, Mark would rather be doing right now, like with this time. I used to do that all the time with friends. I'd visit them at work, and then like if they worked at a bar or something, and then a customer being like, waiter, there's something wrong with my sandwich. And I'm like, man, my friend, it sucks that you have to deal with this.
Yeah, you don't deserve this,
these
man.
dipshits yelling at you about a sandwich that you don't care about. Just shut up and eat your sandwich. I don't know.
That's it's the weird part about having like being in a creative field. I feel like you surround yourself with like creative people, and almost all of us have day jobs where we're either like at a desk getting yelled at by like some dude who has been in middle management his whole life, or you're working retail where it's like, do these jeans come in 10.5? And clearly they don't, man. Like I don't like
I don't know, man.
And everyone has these stories like of just absolute shitheads they have to deal with, and then on the weekend they're out trying to live the dream, and that shithead might be in the audience now paying to see them. It's such a weird dichotomy that we all go through.
Well, I'd much rather work for the shithead in that context.
Yeah.
Where you sit down and I'll really try to make you laugh, because I know you had to work at your crappy middle management job all day.
Yeah.
And let me entertain you now for whatever amount of time.
Yeah.
And make all that worth it. And this is 100% the spot that I should be in. I should not be on top of a double-decker bus.
Yeah.
I don't belong here at all.
I need to prove to you that like this is where I need to be.
Yeah, this is easily the best place for me right now.
I remember the first time I had a boss of mine come to a show I was doing. It completely changed my perspective on it, because like when we were at work, we would always like butt heads and we would argue and stuff. And then they came to one of my shows and they like laughed. Thank God I had a good show. I had like one of my best shows. And like they were laughing. They brought friends, and like, afterwards I went over and we were just chatting and shooting the shit and whatever. And she was like, you know what? Like, that was really good. I didn't know kind of what to expect, because like we don't know each other outside of work, but that was really good. Like, good for you, man. And then from then on, I had this perspective of like, oh, she's a human too. Like,
yep.
Like she also hates her job and just wants out of the house to fuck around and hang out too. Okay, well, cool. Like.
And sometimes you see that too, and it's like, oh, I understand why you're so distracted at work, because this is where your brain is all day. Yeah. This is clearly what you've been thinking about all day.
Yeah, from then on, it was like we had this very open dialogue about it, where I would just be like, yeah, I'm like, this Tuesday, like, I'm not coming to work. I have a show I have to do, like.
Right.
Like,
and then they get it. They're like, oh, yeah, man, I've seen you do your shows. You take it seriously, yeah.
It was crazy. Like, and it's funny, because I've met so many other comedians where they're like, oh, I'd hate to have, like, X person at a show, or like someone I work with at a show, or like someone, and I'm like, nah, man, like, I'm such a shill. I want all my friends to come and see me. I want my family to come and see me. Like, I have an ego, man. Like, I want to prove myself.
So funny. But then you have a bad set and you're like, ah, crap.
Every time. It happens every goddamn time.
Man, I one time in Calgary, I was dating this lady, and she brought like 25 people, and I bombed. It was so bad.
Come see my comedian boyfriend.
Yeah, and I was humiliated, and I couldn't. Like, I had been sitting with them before the show, and then it was I was up whatever third, and there's like 8 acts on the show, some open mic or something, and then I couldn't face them. I couldn't go back and sit with them the rest of the show. I was like, I was just so ashamed on the other side. I keep track of all the shows I do in a big old Excel spreadsheet, and I bet you I can find the date of that show.
Oh, beautiful.
The show I'm talking about. This is awful.
The first time my brother ever came and saw me, I was doing like one of those like new people shows where it's like, be nice to these comedians because it's like their, second or third show, whatever, right? And I knew the host. He was like a friend of mine, so he was really nice. Like before I knew half the people on the show. And like, and I was very blessed that way. When I got into comedy, like I said, I knew a lot of comedians. So like I could get on shows and like I had people helping me and like I could bounce ideas off people. I was very blessed that way. But then I remember I can't remember if it was the act before me or if it was the host went up and my brother accidentally heckled.
Oh no.
Because my brother's a fucking he's like the nicest human being on planet Earth. He's such a sweetheart. But sometimes he like doesn't know when to shut the fuck up. So like the host said something as like, I don't know what it was, something rhetorical. And my brother like responded with something that out of context just seems like the biggest dickhead way to respond to it. And so the host I think it was the host, he was kind of like, cool man, like the response to the heckler where you don't have anything funny, it's like,
right.
Good for you,
Why
man.
did you say that? Man?
Yeah. And I was like, oh my, I brought him. I was sitting next to him. Like everyone knows that's my guy. Oh, fuck.
That's so funny.
I felt so bad.
I found it here. It was the 12th time ever doing stand-up.
Nice.
And it was August. Oh, wow. This is almost exactly 13 years ago. August 15th, 2007. I was at Yuck Yucks, and man, this is humiliating. And the thing is, actually, a couple months earlier, on June 26, 2007, my 9th time doing stand-up, she brought a bunch of her friends, and I killed it.
There you go. Well, that's what's important. Okay, that's important context.
No, and then she brought more friends, and like...
Yeah, but she knew. Like, she would be like, oh, Mark had an off night. That's fine. Like, when you have someone to cover for you, you can be like, yeah, I had an off night. What are you going to do?
You don't want, I assume you don't want to be the girlfriend justifying to all your friends. No, I swear to God, I saw him do great once. I don't know what the hell that was.
I think that comes down to there's like
time on stage.
There's like a confidence to it, right? Where you can be like sometimes that happens and it completely shoots you and you're just like, oh man, like what am I doing? But sometimes that happens to you and you're just kind of like, yeah, fair enough. Like, everyone has a bad night.
Sure, yeah.
But I also think that comes with the longer you do it, the more I guess jaded you get to having a shitty night.
Yeah, the bombs aren't
as bad.
They don't hit you as hard.
It's happened so many times, right?
Yeah.
So normally for when I usually go with when was your first show, but I think this is going to be more interesting for me as a human being. When was your first show that you were like confident in? Like when was the first show that you were like, I'm a comedian, I'm funny as hell, this is my thing?
Oh, that's a great question, man. Hold on. Okay, so it's kind of neat because you were talking. I've listened to a couple of these episodes.
Ooh.
With Carosa and Courtney Gilmore. Yeah, man, it's a good time. And I think, oh Jesus, what was I gonna say? This has to do with like, when do you know that you're like a comic or the confidence they're in or something?
Yeah.
Crap. I had a great thing, man. I had a really great thing at the edge of my tongue. I went downhill so fast. I think it probably just has to do with like, I wanted to talk about how you always have like these off nights, I guess, or the feeling of it. It just comes and goes so frequently. I'm trying to think of a night, like you have nights where you're like, man, I am so in my element.
Yeah.
But I couldn't tell you what that was. That must be so late. That must be so late. So when I started out in Calgary, I did 70 shows.
Damn.
In 3.5 years.
Wow.
Now that sucks.
Yeah.
You're not improving at all. If you're
no, that's like It's
like once a
20-ish
month
shows. Yeah, it's
almost?
like 20 shows a year.
No, not even that, I don't think, is it?
Well, 70 over 3.
Maybe. Yeah. It's
That's
like,
like
I guess
23-ish, I think.
Yeah. In 3.5 years, yeah. So
Yeah.
you're certainly not improving, especially me. I was a total mess.
Yeah.
And so the feeling of like even being comfortable on stage would always reset. I didn't even understand that. It's like, no, man, you got to do this like all the time, especially a nervous wreck like me. You got to get the comfort. And this is what's great about when you live in Toronto and you get to do 3 shows a night. And all
you're just always hustling.
Yeah, and then by that 3rd show, man, your name is called. You grab the mic, you're like, man, this is the best.
Got
like,
all the
I'm
swagger.
home now. But even and I still get this, like the rust builds up fast. Like if I take 2 days off or whatever, that first day back, I look at the crowd, I'm like, what the fuck are you all looking at? Then I'm like, oh right, I'm supposed to entertain people. Telling jokes right.
I'm the guy. Fuck.
This is me. Oopsies. And so I couldn't maybe tell you. I had like a lot of sets that went well throughout, even in my time in like Calgary. So let me tell you this whole story. So when I first started doing stand-up, I would go in the months before May of 06, I guess. I went to a couple of comedy clubs. And I'd watch people, and I was so like analytical, and I'd be like, "What is this person doing with comedy that is like any kind of unique, like which is so insane? You can't classify." Rodney Dangerfield was not the best one-liner comic of all time.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Okay,
he was just that guy.
Yeah,
you can't. He was just the best Rodney Dangerfield of all time.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Mitch Hedberg is also very good at one-liners.
Yeah,
but he's also himself. You know what I mean? So, but I would be like, man, who's the best whatever in my head and blah, 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 watching them. And then I'd be like, well, what am I going to do? What's going to be my thing?
What's
this
the Mark
very
thing?
like 19-year-old thinking of like, I'm going to change the world by doing something specific that nobody's ever done before.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is just being yourself, first of all. Like, nobody is you. So you don't have to do anything this analytical. You don't have to think of it like this. So I watched this documentary thing, and Seinfeld was talking about how the reason why he played himself on the show was a very comedian thing versus actors. You know, actors disappear into characters.
Yeah.
Comedians want to be themselves.
Yeah.
And I had been doing community theater for like 6 years at that point, and I was like, well, I don't mind characters.
Yeah.
And then so I was like, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna bring characters into stand-up and into like the club environment. But then I'm like, what the hell does that even mean or whatever? So I came up with this idea of like, you do like a one-man show or like one-person sketch or something like that. The problem with one-person sketch to me at the time was they are not in the room with you, the audience member.
Okay.
Like if you watch like a Rowan Atkinson thing where he's playing the devil, he's referring to things that aren't there. He's referring to people that aren't there. You know what I mean? What's cool about stand-up is that I'm talking to you in the audience.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a one-to-one kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah, I could see you and I can react to you.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do that in character.
Okay.
So I would have like, I'm like a wedding minister or whatever, and I'm marrying the crowd. So I'm like, you know, men, do you promise to blah, 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 say I do. And then all the men in the crowd are like, I do.
Did you get the callbacks off that? Like
yeah,
the
I got all that.
Nice.
Like,
that's a good feeling.
So I'm like in character or whatever, but it also is insane. And I also have no experience with like mic technique or joke writing. Like I don't know how to do anything. And I'm piling all this character crap on top of it.
Yeah, you're giving yourself so much extra work.
Extra work. Yeah. And I only am doing stand-up like once a month. And so like I'm not improving at all. This is like such a mess. But what was cool about it is that some of the characters actually did kind of hit a chord and were kind of funny. The premises were sort of funny. For example, I did one where it was like, I still believe in this. I love sports commentators and what they contribute to otherwise dumb events. So like one time I turned on the TV and it's a huge stadium and everyone's going nuts. People are screaming and the camera goes down and it's like, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the World Championship of darts.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
Oh my God, dude. Darts is insane. I don't know if you've ever watched a show, a game, an episode, whatever. They're they're like, there's the one guy who's got like tattoos in the side of his head, and he's like the snake and shit. Yeah. Everyone dresses up. It's like a wrestling event.
Yeah.
Darts is
and the commentator's going nuts. The commentator's for sure the best part. He's like, I love screaming.
Darts. Darts is great.
It's the best. And so I was like, that'd be kind of funny to do. Like, I wish I had a commentator around my whole life. This is like how I set it up. I was like, imagine even here at Yuck Yucks or whatever. Imagine I had a commentator commenting on it. So I would play a commentator and then a shitty comic and then the guy commenting on the comic. And so that one, the audience was like, oh, this is actually kind of a fun
There's something there for sure, yeah.
Something there, yeah. But then I had a bunch of others. And I'm also not even like, I would do one character like 4 times and then like put it on the back burner for a year and a half.
Yeah, so you're not,
you know
like, it's
like,
the same thing. You're not like
insane.
keeping practice with the one character or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You kind of need practice because I didn't want to repeat jokes in front of the same people. I don't know, like, but you're not improving at all.
Yeah.
But that was, for example, when I was on stage then doing that character, that's the sports commentator one, I think I was like, oh, this is kind of hitting. What was that? That was I got it in the spreadsheets here. That was my 24th time on stage.
I love that you have it all cataloged. Yeah,
isn't this nuts? So when I was working as an engineer, I was in my little cubicle, but the recession was going on. This was like 2008.
Yeah.
And my boss though was like, "Look busy," and I was like, "What the hell do you mean? There's no work. Like everything, all these oil projects are shutting down. All these pipelines are closing. All these," and they were like, "Whatever, look busy." And I loved comedy, and I couldn't stop thinking about it all day.
Yeah.
So I started spreadsheeting comedy. And so literally like details that nobody would ever care about.
Yeah.
Where I got like, yeah, sure, the date and the venue and like the gig number and stuff. But like some of this is like time of the first laugh, because you got to get your laugh in the first 10 seconds. Time, whatever, how long you're on stage, laughs per minute, seconds between laughs.
That's insane.
Laugh ratio. But man, I had 8 hours a day to kill. No, 10 hours, because it was from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. I got all this time to fill with something, and I have no work. So I'm going to like rack my brain to try to like, and my boss would walk by my cubicle and like look in, and there's all these spreadsheets and graphs and codes and stuff.
And he'd be like, damn, Mark is working hard. Holy shit.
Like, he's doing something. I don't know. He's
I don't know what
busy.
he's doing, but damn, is he doing it?
Yeah. And there's charts and all this stuff. And so, and then some of these charts actually turned out to be super valuable in terms of how to organize my jokes and stuff. You were talking about Zoom calls, or Zoom shows on Courtney's podcast, and in preparation for this, I'm happy to say
I love that you did homework for it. I love that,
buddy. Yeah, because I was looking forward to this, man. Yeah,
oh, man.
We're best friends now.
Holy shit! Stop the podcast. It's done. We're best friends. That's it. Done.
I did 92 Zoom shows.
Holy shit!
Or 92 sets over Zoom.
Oh my god!
Since March 17th. Man, we're in a pandemic. What else am I going to do?
0.
Well, there's nothing else to do. I don't know what's going on.
Oh my god!
I'm so addicted, and I'm like, I just wanted to get better at comedy. I just need to get better. And so, in 19 different Zoom shows. And this is just stand-up. I guess I did a few sketch Zoom shows, and I did a bunch of improv ones too.
How does improv on Zoom work? That's interesting to me.
It's tough. It's all, I will say this. Everybody shits on Zoom shows.
Yeah.
But obviously, just like real live human shows, there's crappy ones and there's great ones. You know what I mean? Like the best Zoom show is still pretty tough.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like it's all just jokes and laughs, man. Yeah. I don't know. Just tell the joke, get the laugh. I don't know. The thing is, like, I've had a bunch of friends, and this is a shame that this happened to them, that early on they were doing the hardest Zoom show ever for sure is one that is live streamed, where you have to mute things because the signal's not going to work or whatever. So you're just literally spewing jokes.
The early Zoom shows were rough. I was like watching them to be supportive of my friends and shit, and I was like...
Well, it's hard, man.
No, I don't envy it. That's why I didn't do any of them. I was like, if I think they're doing shitty, they've been doing this for like 6 years. I've been doing it for like 6 months. Like, I'm doing none of them. I'm gonna make a podcast. Like,
yeah, right. To their credit, they weren't doing this for 6 years.
True. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Nobody has an advantage when it came to Zoom shows. You know what I mean? But it was kind of cool to learn to be like, Like some of my notes from those are like, actually, yeah, let's see if I can find these. From the first Joke Marmalades on whatever, March 17th was the first time I did a Zoom show. And it was like, did a joke. Yeah, here we go. Some of these notes. Did a Joke Marmalade over Zoom. Got some good notes. That's the whole point, is that you're just editing jokes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's another thing. Is Zoom open mic is literally I'm just telling jokes, hearing laughs or not, and then changing the jokes accordingly. So I was still able to practice things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I feel like open mics are the perfect thing to be transferred to Zoom. Because they're fine. Like, going to a live open mic is you go into a room with like 12 comics and one guy who didn't know there was an open mic happening that night. And like you try and workshop your jokes, but comedians don't. We've talked about this before on the podcast, that comedians don't laugh at the same things that the average person does, because comedians think about comedy like, entirely differently.
Yeah, I'll disagree with
You don't think so?
I've heard that argument.
Talk to me about it. Because I think I personally, and I was trying to write a bit about it, how if you tell a joke to a comedian, they'll laugh because you said one word that was kind of like, it's the same thing we were talking about before, where it's like changing the word penis to the word peen. Like a comedian will laugh at that because it's one funny word, but like an audience member might not laugh because the overarching joke isn't that funny. So talk to me about that. What's your opinion on that?
Well, okay, there's like a million reasons why a joke might get a laugh, and then there's a million reasons why it might not get a laugh or whatever. So, but you can't control what you laugh at.
Okay.
This is the argument I hear all the time, is that comedians are like, well, man, I hate telling jokes to other comedians, because they're going in their head going, how would I have restructured that?
Yeah.
How would I have done that? Or they go, yes, that is funny. Yeah, that's clever.
Yeah.
That's clever shit. That is not how anybody laughs. If you tell a joke and a comedian in the crowd goes, yeah, that's good, that's clever, your joke is not good.
Yeah. That means it was bad.
It's clever, but maybe it's okay or whatever. It sounds like it was well structured and worded, but you know what sound comes after a good joke?
Okay.
It's a ha, like an involuntary blast of noise.
Yeah.
That's what that's success. You know what I mean? Like, Now I agree that if you are only doing shows for other comedians and stuff, you're right that they might go ha at like unusual things, like you say about the peen and whatever, you know what I mean? And so you might actually write like what then becomes like an unmarketable act.
Yeah.
Because the only people that like it are other comedians.
So do you think there is truth in the statement of comedians find like laugh at different things than an average person? Or do you think it's all just making your jokes funny?
That Venn diagram is like 95% overlap.
Interesting. Okay.
It would be really strange if you told a joke at an open mic that had 12 other comics at it and it killed, and you then tried that joke at a whatever coffee house that had 15 people at it that were really looking forward to the show, and that bombed. I'd be surprised. You know what I mean? Maybe not a coffee house, I guess, because a coffee house has other rules about whatever language and what we're used to hearing.
But the idea is there. I get what you're saying.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of a joke that I know that audiences, that comedians love and audiences hate.
Interesting. Because you're the first. I'll say the first comedian that I've talked to about this who has been like, nah, man, that's all bullshit. Like, it's like,
I don't know.
Just write funny jokes, man.
And I might be wrong. I don't know. This is just my opinion. This is just what I've thought about this question 100 times over the years. You know what I mean? I don't have any proof that argues the alternative, that it's like, no, man, comedians are just shitheads that are not. You know what I mean? One thing too that is tough about making comedians laugh, particularly at an open mic or something, is that they've been there for 3 hours. Yeah. They've been bumped 100 times. They're pissed off. They just want to get their set.
Yeah, they're just in a shitty mood and want to get over.
Yeah, they told their significant other or whatever that they were going to meet them an hour ago. Mm-hmm. So they're in like a terrible mood already. So, but if you can grab the mic and make that person laugh, even though they're in a fucking terrible mood, that's a pretty good sign. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And what I kind of thought about recently, this is like a pandemic development in my head of, when you're closing out a show or headlining it or whatever, sometimes if the show was poorly produced and it goes long or whatever, or all the acts on the show were dickheads and they went over time and stuff, it's stressful because you're the closing act. You got to be technically funnier than everybody to end this shit strong. And you've been dealt the shittiest hand because the audience is exhausted.
Yeah, the audience is upset, the booker's upset, the comedians are upset, everyone's upset.
Yeah, and all the comedians, all the comedians probably left before the end of the show anyway. So what do they care? Yeah, like they don't care about the rest of the show.
They set you up for shit, and they were like, "I got another show to do later, buddy."
Yeah, bye. Yeah. Enjoy making these people laugh. They're exhausted. And you got to be funnier than everybody because you're the quote unquote headliner. You're supposed to be better than everyone. And so it's like literally being dealt like a 2 and a 4 in Texas Hold'em.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, you better take the pot, buddy. Even though you have a terrible hand, you got to bluff your way to victory.
There you go. I mean, that's comedy in general. I feel like bluffing your way to victory.
Yeah. But what's cool about that then is that where do you practice? How do I practice talking to people that are pissed and upset because they've been sitting for 2 hours?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you where. An open mic, man. where the audience is pissed and upset and have been there for 2.5 hours.
Yeah. So that, I guess that kind of speaks to just the grind of comedy, right? Like if you grind it out enough, if you are, because some people will like go to open mics in the beginning and then they start getting book shows and they kind of stop doing open mics.
Right.
Whereas I feel like if
I'm
you're
always kind of perplexed by.
Yeah, if you're really gonna get there, you gotta still hit those open mics because there's invaluable shit that you learn, like you just said.
Oh, tons. Yeah. Well, especially
the
like
stamina of it is.
Yeah, the exhaustion. Mm-hmm. One huge thing is like, I got these jokes. Oh man, okay, I'm so excited to tell these jokes. I really think they're funny. Oh baby. Oh man, I'm getting bumped. Okay. Oof. Yeah. I'm getting bumped a lot. Ooh. Okay. I've been here for 2.5 hours, let's say. Okay. When am I on? In 10? Okay. Oof.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. All right. In 10 acts from now, I might get on?
Yeah.
What's that? I'm getting bumped again? Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Now I'm looking back at these jokes and going, what the hell was I thinking?
Yeah.
These jokes are terrible.
So getting in your head about it and you're like, yeah, nah, I don't get the banana thing. I don't know what I wrote down here. I don't know what's going on.
I waited 4 hours to talk about bananas? What the fuck am I talking about? Like, and so that's good, though. That's a test on your jokes, like that you... If you, after 4 hours, go up and say, God damn it, I got this great opinion on bananas. What do you think? And everybody laughs. You're like, yes, I told you. I told you bananas were funny.
Yeah, I was worth it. I like
knew
the 4 hours was worth it.
It was totally worth it.
Yeah.
And that's a test that doesn't happen, I notice, when you maybe go, you walk into a place and you get bumped ahead of everybody. Mm-hmm. Like if your joke or if your stand-up persona, style, whatever, if it's dependent on the room, the show being early and the room being packed and the energy being high, I don't know if your joke is that good. You know what I mean? Wait, what do you mean you need to bump us all to do your spot right now?
Yeah.
You're not going to be funny in an hour?
Yeah.
That's a bad sign, isn't it? You're going to be great.
So there you go, folks. Even though Marc Hallworth is a big shot comedian now, you can bump him as much as you want. If you're listening, anyone who books Marc on a show, just bump his ass. Treat him like a day one.
Yeah, I get it. You know what I mean? Well, I run this show on Thursdays that show up and go up no bumps or whatever. And that one is like a weird test of like, that show, it makes no sense to have bumps on that show. Mm-hmm. There's no reason why we need bumps on this show. There's still like 35 of us, even though I don't bump anybody.
Yeah.
People are still willing to do it. You know what I mean? Like, but I understand people are like, nah, I'd rather go do a show where I can go on in 5 acts rather than wait until 11.
So have you ever gotten like any pushback? You don't have to name any names, but have you ever gotten any pushback from that where someone shows up to your show and tries to big time you and be like, hey, can I get on early? And you just go like, no bumps? No,
not necessarily. No, I don't think so. Yeah, because people kind of get it. Mm-hmm. I don't know if nobody's been like, Mark, that's bullshit. Let me on now. Like people, I'd be like, no.
Yeah.
I don't know. But now let's not forget. I ran another show at Kiel and Dundas for 8.5 years. Damn. That was like Bump City. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many dynamics, man. If your show is capped, if you're really trying to make it a show versus an open mic, you know what I mean? If you're really trying to, like, then obviously bumps are clearly a good idea. You know what I mean? And
they have their place.
Yeah, they have a place. Also, if your show is like, let's say your show's a Tuesday at 7 p.m. Yeah, you bump away, man, because people are trying to juggle 1,000 sets. And if you do bump people, they have the advantage of being able to do all this. And we're trying to help each other out as a community. You know what I mean? But my show that starts at 9 o'clock on a Thursday isn't really competing with anything.
Yeah.
All these open micers, the only reason you would want to go up early is so that you could leave early.
Yeah.
And so, but why? What do you mean? Like,
Yeah.
oh, well, no, if you put a pro on, they might really pump up the energy in the audience. There is no audience, man. It's
Yeah,
just,
the audience is the comics. Yeah.
there's no audience. We're not trying to impress anybody.
Yeah.
It's just us.
It's basically a workshop show at that point. Like when you get to the
Oh, yeah,
really
it's all-
late
yeah.
night mics.
But every show, so many mics are just workshops in that sense. You know what I mean? Like you go up, tell the joke, it works. You underline it 100 times. You're like, it's a miracle. How the hell did that work? Anyway, yeah. So I got all. So Zoom shows.
Yeah. So Zoom shows.
There was a ton of Zoom shows that were like mega valuable. And another thing too is like, you're right now you're taking a swig of something. You know what I mean? Like if you had your mic off right now and this was a Zoom show.
Yeah.
You are technically kind of in the front row. I could see you. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Anything you do, if you're distracted or whatever, and you like move away.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey man, I'm trying to tell you a joke right now, so can you
Yeah.
sit still? You know what I mean? It's the equivalent of you. Like if you were on your phone, I would be able to tell.
Yeah.
Just like if you were at a comedy club and you were on your phone, I
Yeah.
would call you out. So that's a thing that Zoom shows have been kind of helpful too. Is like I'm not really good at crowd work or riffing or anything like that, but I have practiced it a lot over Zoom.
Yeah.
Just calling people out on like there's this one show based out of LA and it is fun, but the guy's like, he's like, ladies and gentlemen, Cole Sauer, and then mutes himself and
Yeah.
does like bong rips, and you're like, well, this guy's not even supporting his own show. Like,
Yeah,
he
that's not
doesn't
give a fuck. That's
so
funny.
obviously there's good Zoom shows and bad Zoom shows. One thing I like doing too is explicitly being like, why is everybody's fucking mic turned off? All right,
Yeah.
come on, guys, come on, we can do this. We're here. The effort of like turning on mics or whatever. Come on, here we go. And then now I'm gonna start my set because
Man, champion of the people, Marc Hallworth, man. The people's comedian, dude.
I'm here for you. We got a community.
There for the little guys, man.
I was so grateful for Zoom shows. It was all I was doing, right? Until July-ish, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, until the show started back up, right?
Yeah, any kind of, and even now. So tonight I'm gonna do a live show and a Zoom show. I'm excited.
Are you doing live into Zoom or Zoom into live?
Live into Zoom.
Okay.
And I get to do 2 bits at the live show and 3 bits at the Zoom show, and I'm all excited. And what is
Nice.
that? I don't know, 9 minutes, I guess, I get to practice.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to get edits probably. I'm going to tell this joke, it bombs. Okay, scratch that. Yeah. It's Marm, too, so they might even toss feedback. Hey, maybe I'll get a great line out of this or whatever. And I'm not making any money or anything, but that's fine. That's completely expected.
Yeah.
There's a pandemic going on.
What's your because it seems like in talking to you about this, it seems like you're very like community focused, you're very like trying to kind of raise everyone up with you. What's your best advice to someone who is starting out, like trying to get that mentality? Because I feel like 90%, like 10% of comedy is writing funny jokes, and then 90% of comedy is just getting the mentality to keep going and to having a healthy mentality of writing jokes over again and taking feedback and doing more shows even if you bomb. Like,
yeah, there's a lot there, man. There's so many parts to that question. Like, there's a million things to get good at.
Yeah.
So for example, I used to work with this guy, and I will fight tooth and nail that he is in sketch comedy top 3 of anybody I've ever worked with.
Wow.
At writing, performing, and editing sketch comedy.
Okay.
However, I would also say he's not a very good sketch comedian.
Okay.
And that might be kind of confusing.
Okay.
And you probably can predict this, Cole. There's so much more to sketch comedy than writing, performing, and editing it.
1,000%.
What about all the constructive feedback, sending emails, reading, producing, putting initiative forward, having ideas for this, that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
All the behind the scenes stuff that
and
people
then
don't
you
think
can't
about.
do any of that.
Yeah.
This guy is the funniest person I know, and he's terrible at all that. So, and I love him, man. He's like one of my best friends. But it's so insane how hard all this is. So,
for sure.
And balancing out. So somebody asked Colin Mockery once of like, what's like one word of advice, one word to be a better improviser? He said, listen. And listen, all you got to do is listen to offers that people are giving you in scenes and whatever. And so my word for stand-up, at least specifically, is like think. Okay. I'm gonna tell this joke. It's gonna make everybody laugh. That's what you're saying. First of all. That alone is so insane just anybody doing stand-up comedy at all, is I'm going to grab this microphone and you should listen to me, first of all. I know you could do anything else tonight. You could have gone to a movie. You could have gone to a sports game. You could have gone to an escape room. Fuck, man. You'd have a great night if you did that. Any of these other things.
That sounds like the fucking best night ever, first off.
To be honest. But no. Fuck all that, Cole. What you should do, man, is you should sit in my audience and give me all of your focus and attention.
Yeah.
And don't talk or anything. You just sit there, and I will make your night so much better than if you did any of those other things.
Okay.
This is the right thing to do. Stand-up comedy rules, first of all. It's like such a unique kind of environment. You know, I mean, I'm going to tell this joke. We're going to have this environment. This room is specific to us.
Mm-hmm.
It's never going to be like this again. Like, maybe the jokes will be the same or whatever, but just the vibe.
Yeah.
This is specific to us. Stand-up rules. This is why live comedy is the best. All right. So, but what an insane thing. I'm going to tell this joke. It's going to go ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. Punchline. I'm going to pause at the punchline. The entire room is going to laugh. And then I'm going to do that for another 5 minutes.
Right.
Like, that's such an insane thing to even say.
Yeah.
So one piece of advice is to be like, if you don't think that's going to happen, please don't grab the microphone. Don't waste my time. Because you're just embarrassing yourself and wasting our time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And again, like we were saying about, like, would you be willing to wait 4 hours to tell this joke? Do you really need to say it? You know what I mean? And I guarantee you there's a ton in you that does need to come out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this joke you said about the bananas isn't going to work out. But what about this other joke about revolving doors? You're like, no, this is important.
The problem with me, the problem is that my favorite bit that I wrote is about bananas. So every time we've brought up the banana bit, I'm like, it is making me second think the banana joke. It is making me second think it.
It's probably great. I don't know. Yeah, and you're probably like,
I like my banana bit. Goddammit.
Let's not forget, if I kicked you off the show, you like, again, capped shows and open mics and all this kind of stuff. Have you ever waited like 4 hours to get onto a show and then it was capped and you didn't get to perform?
Yep.
How did you feel?
God, it's such a shitty feeling.
It's horrible, isn't it? And so that's good. You should be pissed. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's always crazy to me when people are like, "Oh, I didn't." Nah.
Yeah.
Who cares?
They don't.
I didn't even have anything.
Energy.
Why would you have grabbed the mic if you didn't have anything? What the hell are you talking about? Why do you think we should all be listening to you?
Wow, that's fucking inspirational, man. Holy shit, that is another level. Like, it's literally like you like. It's funny because I always talk about how, like, stand-up comedy as a performance art is inherently egotistical. Like, and it's exactly what you're saying, where it's like, I am going. You have paid $10 to be here to see me grab this mic and make you laugh, and I have the confidence to grab the mic and make and say, listen up, fucko. Like, I'm gonna make you laugh. And
take the $10 from your hand to be
bananas,
like,
man.
This is correct. yeah.
Fucking.
But you're right. I know this also sounds like shitty, where I'm like, get to fucking work. You know, like I don't mean to be like. I mean to be inspiring. I'm glad that's how you took it.
Yeah, I mean, I
mean to be discouraging.
I take it as that because to me, like, I think we have the same kind of idea where it's like, if you're gonna do something, you need to do it, man. Like, if you're gonna do comedy, and if you really want to make it work, then you got to treat it like a job. Like, you got to know that you're confident in it. You got to know what you're doing. You got to do it every week. And, like, you know, I think that's, I mean, shit, I think that's the best advice you can give somebody. I think
that's why, you were talking, I can't remember what episode it was where you talk about open mics, when people kind of stop doing open mics. And I'm always kind of surprised by that, because it's like, well, it's just another chunk of time that you could be getting better at comedy. So I don't know. I like, you got my calendar or whatever. I really like trying to book everything I can or whatever. These kind of unique shows, and then filling the cracks with open mics. You know what I mean? So
yeah, it just keeps you
sharp.
I
love it, man. We at like 6 p.m. you do an open mic, and then you zip off to this book show, and then you zip off to this other book show, and you carefully. I don't know. I'm so careful that I plan. I'm like, I think I'm going to do this 5 minutes at this show and this 5 minutes at this show.
Yeah.
And then it all ends, and then I look at my watch and I say, man, I think this other late night mic is still going on. I think I can practice this other 5 minutes that I didn't think I'd be able to get to. And then you go over and you do. And in this one night, I got to do 20 minutes of material. You know what I mean? Like, I got to practice all this kind of stuff. What a miracle.
Marc Hallworth, the last true hustler of comedy, man.
The last True Hustlers?
You're just grinding it out. I mean, like...
No, man. There's so many people in our community that are like this, and it's great. It's really great to see them. And you see the edits sometimes on these little jokes. Man, Ryan Dillon the other day made me laugh so hard. He's talking about pepper on eggs and stuff, and for a long time he used to say hot dots, but now he calls it spicy sand, and it's so much funnier than hot dot. Oh my god!
Spicy sand is very funny.
Oh, it's great.
I'm going to call pepper spicy sand from now on.
Yeah, isn't it great? Man, he's the best. It was so fun it was so good to see him again. But people like that, these little edits, and again, you hear the jokes a lot because you're kind of maybe doing the same circuit as people. And then you see them do that joke in front of people that have never heard it, and it kills, and you're like, yeah, man, like, look at all the work you put into that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Damn, man. So this is, I'm going to say, this is the longest the who, what, where, when, and why has ever taken. And
I'm sorry.
No, I mean that in the best way humanly possible. Because we've covered so much. The last one is why, and why is a very nebulous question, right? It's a very, like, why? But
why is Mark a thing?
So we've talked a lot about comedy, and you know, anyone who's listening who isn't in comedy might be surprised to hear like there's all these pluses and minuses and ups and downs, and like it's I always say a good show is the best feeling in the world, and a bad show is the worst feeling you'll ever have. And this is what a comedy career is. So what is it about comedy? Why do you keep doing it? Well, what keeps you going? Having these awful nights. You said you've been doing full time for 6 years, and you said before you were an engineer, you do not need to do comedy if you're an engineer. You'll be fine without comedy. So what keeps Mark going, man?
No, I won't though, Cole. I won't be fine as an engineer.
Okay.
I won't be. It's falling in love with the work. One thing of it, I guess, and this is we're going to talk about skateboarding and Rodney Mullen.
Yeah.
One thing that they talked about with Rodney Mullen was that one thing that keeps him going is an inundation of ideas.
Okay.
You can't stop doing it. If his legs are working, he's going to kick that board in a direction that you didn't think was possible.
Right.
And he keeps doing it every single 5 years. You're like, how on earth did he pull that off? That is so wild. He did a thing recently where, if anybody doesn't know what a 360, so a primo is where you flip the board up and you land now on the side, like a quarter of the way. You flip it a quarter of the way.
Yeah. And you land on the flat part.
And now you're balancing on the wheels. You're just standing on the wheels and the board. Well, the flat, I don't know. Like if you were riding it on its wheels and you flip it quarter of the way forward.
Yeah.
You get how you're just standing on the wheels now, kind of? Yeah, you're stationary. Now, he did so many different combinations where from there, he like flips it back or whatever, and it lands back on what's called the grip tape or whatever, the top of the board where the feet are supposed to go. He's done so many combinations of that, and he's done so many combinations too where he goes primo, I guess, at the edge of the board, flips it 100, like completely 360 degrees, lands back in primo.
That's crazy.
Back on the edge, which is like out of control. But like a year ago or 2 years ago, he did something that I've never seen anybody do before, and of flipping it. He's standing in primo, and he chucks it perfectly on the vertical axis, I guess. It's hard to explain over an audio format. But he spins it. Describe what I'm doing there, Cole. In this axis, I guess that's the vertical axis. Like
a ballerina in a music box. It goes 360.
Or like a complete helicopter. Yeah. Ballerina music box is good too. Yeah. And landing on that. So he spins it completely 360 degrees and lands back in primo in that way.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, what the hell? That idea hit him, and he was like, I've been skating for like 37 years. I've never done that before.
Yeah, I'm going to do that now.
I'm going to try that. I'm just going to go out to some parking lot and try that.
And it's crazy that the skateboarding guys are always great. Like Rodney Mullen's probably 40-something by now. Like,
it was his birthday a couple of days ago. Yeah.
Married with kids and all that probably. Like
1967. What would that be?
Oh, shit.
No, he's 50. He's 52.
And he's still, I guarantee you, exactly like you said, he had an idea and he was like, well, there's a parking lot next door. Like, I'll be back, honey. Like,
I'm going to go try this. Yeah, totally. And like Rodney Mullen's wife was like, see ya, I get, like, that's just what he does.
He's going to come back all fucked up, like his shoulder's going to be popped out, and he's like, hey, I figured it out, though.
Yeah.
It goes on Instagram, it's going to be sick.
That literally no one's ever even thought of. I just pulled it off. That's crazy. So a similar thing is like you as a human being, as a comedian especially, are changing over the years. Mm-hmm. So jokes things are just continuously coming to you and will continue coming. I know you probably get writer's block or whatever, where you have like a couple of uninspiring weeks, but then you get some idea that comes out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And if I was an engineer, I'd get that idea and then be like, God damn it, what am I doing here? I'll be here. I want to see if I can get this idea on paper. I want to give it the attention it deserves. I want to polish it up properly, present it. And I have a feeling those people, it's going to make that crowd laugh. I really think this idea is really funny.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where, I don't know, there's just been no shortage of that, of just ideas that keep coming. I was just given an assignment of, I got to write a sketch and the theme is memory.
Okay.
And I had an idea for a sketch where it's like, maybe an ad or something, I don't know, a product called Forget It All, which is like in the style of those kind of drugs or whatever. And maybe like an amnesia thing or something. And I just listened to our testimonials. And he's like, oh, I took Forget It All and I have no idea what my problem was at all. I don't know. I'm trying to think of something.
Yeah.
It's just an idea I had like 10 minutes before this call began. I bet you there might be something there. Who knows? So I'm excited to write that out and see if there's beats or whatever. I don't know.
So your thing is just the constant like cogs of creation. Like you just want to keep doing shit. Like you just like that. You just are always funneling these ideas out.
Yeah. And I'm just so lucky to have a medium to push all these ideas out. You know what I mean? I didn't think like an engineer does. I went to school with people that, I'm still friends with now, and they are engineers. They really look at the world in terms of solving problems and those kinds of like mathematical ways, I guess. I don't know. I didn't think like that at all. So when you were like, no, Mark, you could have just been an engineer, I'd be like, no, I couldn't have. Also, you don't want to be the worst at anything. Right?
Yeah.
So, like I wasn't going to do it. I also love playing the drums and I love skateboarding, but I wasn't going to do, I can't skateboard 16 hours a day.
Yeah.
Like these kids,
the kids these days.
These kids today, you know what I mean? Falling and hurting themselves, and getting surgery because you broke your ankle, and then after surgery you ease back into it. I don't have an athletic bone in my body. You know what I mean? I can't do any of the things that these people are doing.
Yeah.
Like comedy, man, that is something that I love. That you wake up and you think about comedy for 16 hours a day, and then you go to bed.
Yeah.
It's the greatest, man. Yeah. And I've been so lucky to do this since November 2014. That's been my whole
you got the
brain.
Addiction, man.
Yeah. Now, I guess it's like also I have like friends. I can hang out with people in a normal human way. And
always grinding.
Yeah, I'm not always like
Mark is always on the
grind. It is
grind.
like happening all the time. Obviously, it's kind of how my brain works or whatever, but I can't have like human relationships.
You heard it here first, folks. Marc Hallworth says if you're not grinding, you don't want it hard enough.
Oh God, all right.